Welcome to day 2 of NADA 2026 at the Affinitiv Vision Stage. My name is Dean Martin, the VP of Marketing at Affinitiv, and we have a packed schedule for you today, touching on a variety of topics from accelerating trades to owner retention strategies to service absorption. Right now, to kick off today's sessions, we're going to jump right in with a discussion on the newest generation of vehicle buyers and service customers that we all know as Gen Z. And specifically, what Gen Z tells us about buying, servicing, and staying loyal. And here to lead the charge is Joey Wheeler, VP of Product at Affinitiv, Briana Hopkins, Associate Product Manager at Affinitiv, and our special guest, our Gen Z representative and insight is Stephen Hackbarth of the Fixed Ops RoundTable. Joey, Briana, take it away.
Dean, good morning, everyone. So we're excited today to go through some data. We have a consumer survey that we sent out. We collected a lot of data, and we're going to talk a little bit about what Gen Z has told us when they're experiencing service, buying vehicles, and some expectations that they have that have influenced some decisions that we've made in terms of our product roadmaps. We're going to connect these to some actual products, show them to you today. And we've got Stephen here to keep us grounded and keep us honest to make sure that what we're saying lines up. And our goal here is to understand what Gen Z responds to, where they get stuck and frustrated, and what helps them move forward.
Okay, so first let's look at this data. As part of our annual consumer survey, we collected data from over 1,700 consumers from the months of March 2024 to March 2025 who had completed a dealership experience. This could have been buying a new car or servicing an existing vehicle. And this gives us a strong view of real recent dealership behavior and where Gen Z stands out. You can see here that Gen Z is already 25% of our consumer base. So they're not coming soon, they are already here. So let's highlight what stands out about Gen Z.
First off, I want to set some expectations where in the survey data, there's this conception that Gen Z is anti-dealer at times. And in reality, what our survey data has told us is that Gen Z is actually anti-uncertainty. They tend to slow down when things are unclear to them, when pricing changes without them knowing it, when they don't have transparency or proof that supports what the dealers are communicating to those people. So it's an important reframe to basically, make sure we all keep in mind that Gen Z is not anti-dealer, they're anti-uncertainty. They're trying to protect themselves, and we have solutions that can help move everyone forward in that way.
So let's look at the Gen Z, pretty much the research journey. We see that Gen Z starts the research much earlier than what we're used to, really. And research starts, as you can expect, mostly online. Gen Z is 7 times more likely to turn to influencers and dealer social media pages when researching. I'm curious, are you familiar with any of these popular influencers with dealerships?
Absolutely. I'm familiar. I follow all sorts of influencers regarding working at dealerships as well as technicians. And I follow them on TikTok and Instagram. And that's sort of my first touch point with a lot of these dealerships and automotive groups in order to understand their processes. So
That's awesome. Do you have any favorites?
I don't have any particular favorites, but there is a couple automotive groups that I follow, including Apple Autos in Minneapolis. They've got great social media. Austin Pesic, I think, is their main social media manager.
Yeah.
So those are my favorite. I love the fun, engaging videos that draw us in, and then they deliver actual value propositions. So
That's great. Yeah, I know some other ones are Russ Flips Whips.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Benzos and bow ties.
Yep.
There's some really popular ones we hear about
Absolutely.
all the time. So it's great. It's really helped set that expectation early
100%.
with people. Yeah,
100%.
perfect. As we can see, surprising no one, the most preferred method of communication is SMS. So one of the interesting things, and I'm curious if this rings true for you, is while SMS is the most preferred communication, we see that the expectation for response is like Gen Z is willing to wait. So in recent other generations, we'd see like an expected 16 minutes for a response via SMS,
Yeah.
but Gen Z had like 28 minutes. Like they were willing to wait.
Fine
Does that
waiting
feel
on
the
red
same?
for a
Yeah, they're
little bit.
totally
Yeah, yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Yes.
Does that ring true for you?
Absolutely. First of all, SMS is extremely effective with my generation. I mean, we are on these things all the time, and there's an idea of we are enrolled in a lot of SMS things, a lot of promotional coupons and things like that. So it also matters the effectiveness and the hook, because we might only see the first little bit of the message. So it's very important that those push notifications and everything are effective and enticing. But yeah, like you said, we're waiting. We might wait. A lot of us pin the message and then we'll come back to it, especially if it's incentive wise. So yeah, we are willing to wait, but still extremely effective if they're an engaging SMS. So
That's an important note. Yeah.
Yes.
So because it's coming up with the notification, so you want to kind of get them right. In that
yeah,
first sentence. That's
we're
really
getting a
interesting.
lot of SMS promotional, so it's important that it stands out.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. We've also got Gen Z respondents visited on average 2.6 dealerships and test drove 2.6 vehicles. This is up from other generations, but this is also crazy up from previous years. In 2023,
Yes.
that number was about 2 just for all generations. So it's gone up quite a bit of Gen Z coming into stores and wanting to, even though they're researching online, they still want to come in and have that dealer experience. Which is great.
Absolutely, I would agree that with the ability to navigate these websites so just easily and see the social medias, maybe the walk around vehicles, etc., it builds that excitement. But we are so willing to come into the dealership and test drive that. I don't think the experience, as long as it's frictionless, we are very excited, and I know that with BDC is setting up those appointments to be able to easily go and test drive a vehicle, so fantastic. I think that's why it resonates with my generation so much.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned video inspections, so they are highly effective with approving service recommendations. We also have high digital wallet adoption for Gen Z, which makes sense. You want everything to be on your phone. And then we also see that they're more comfortable and willing to engage with chatbots. And what we also saw was it wasn't just that they were willing to engage, it's that they had a high confidence in recognizing that it was a chatbot, but they didn't mind. They're like, as long as it's going to give me the information that I need, totally fine that you're using a chatbot. Do you feel the same way?
Yes, absolutely. I think that we are already very accustomed to the hybrid of human and AI agents when most businesses, especially automotive, and a few things to that. I think that one, we can clock the AI right away. However, if it's effective, if it's making our lives easier, it doesn't matter that it's AI. We are used to that. We are comfortable with that setting. We use a lot of the AI ourselves in our daily lives, so it's not necessarily a scary or inconvenient thing. As long as it's working, it's fantastic. And we spoke about the video MPIs. That's the human piece. We want the humans when we feel that our guard is up. That's where we want the human connection and the trust. But if it's about scheduling, anything like that, it's where we want the AI convenience, 100%. So yeah, even though we can clock it, I think that it's still what we like interfacing.
Yeah, we
with.
saw that throughout the survey data.
Yeah.
It's the blend of digital
Yeah.
and personal.
Yes, absolutely.
And we were talking about it the other day, and I used the analogy of it's like being in a car with a GPS.
Yes.
You still want the GPS.
Yeah.
You still want the map and the directions, but maybe you also want your friend next to you in the passenger seat giving you that reassurance, that guidance that's like, okay, the map doesn't always make perfect sense, but this personal touch is giving me the
Yes.
extra reassurance I need.
Very well said. Yes.
100%. Well, overall, we see that kind of the point isn't that one channel replaces another. It's really the combination of all of these.
Absolutely.
We really want to see that experience brings true from online all the way to purchase throughout to service. So that's really great. And we, of course, Affinitiv has worked to create solutions to help dealers stay in the game in this research journey. And we've got a couple that we'll have Joey go through next.
Yeah. So let's talk about starting off with messaging and RO tracker. So messaging is our two-way texting tool, which is incredibly important. We know SMS is huge for Gen Z, but it's not just huge for Gen Z. Everyone is on their phones all the time. So a lot of the stuff we're talking about here is not exclusive to Gen Z.
Absolutely.
Gen Z is maybe a little more vocal about expressing their frustrations, which is honestly a gift to us in the industry. When we hear those signals, we're able to understand what all consumers are experiencing and actually make changes that matter. So messaging and our tracker are the first two I want to speak about. Messaging is our two-way texting tool, but it's a lot more than that. Our messaging solution is not only a two-way texting tool, so your advisor can send one-to-one communications with the consumer, but it also ties in with the full Affinitiv suite. So our Essentials marketing solution, your notifications from your scheduled maintenance, your appointment reminders, all of that's going to flow into that same message thread so that you and the consumer that you're engaging with are on the same page. If there's one other thing we've learned in the survey data is that Gen Z hates repetitive steps. They hate it. They absolutely hate it. They don't want to come into a dealer and they've spent all of this time researching, going through all these steps at home and online, and then walk in and feel like, I have to restart.
Absolutely.
It's incredibly frustrating, and Gen Z in particular in the survey data is so sensitive to that.
Yeah, I think that we want frictionless experiences.
Yep.
Our expectations, you mentioned digital wallets. Those are things that are easy and accessible. We want everything in our lives to be as frictionless as possible. So I think that having that two-way communication is extremely important as well, because that's just allowing you to have the confidence to go in and have a faster, quicker experience. So
yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned frictionless experiences. That goes into RO Tracker beautifully, so thanks for that.
Yeah.
RO Tracker is our presentation to the consumer to understand where in the process your vehicle currently is. So a lot of times we describe this as a pizza tracker. So you ordered your pizza from your local pizza place. You want to know, okay, my order's in. Now it's being prepared. Now it's ready for delivery. Now it's with my driver. Now they're on their way to my place. It gives you all those steps. That's what RO Tracker does for the consumer as well. And that transparency is super important to Gen Z, as we've seen there. And you mentioned frictionless experiences. I think one of the things to really keep in mind is that frictionless experiences are everywhere, and Gen Z has grown up with them.
Yes.
Food delivery apps, ride apps, your utilities. I mean, everything is now a frictionless experience that helps you move forward more quickly and easily. That expectation goes all over the place. Everything they touch, they expect to have that same experience. So we need to make sure that we have the tools to deliver that experience in automotive.
100%. Well said.
Next up, I want to touch on digital wallet. So we're fully integrated with Apple and Google for digital wallet. We've been integrated for quite some time, and we've seen great dealership response from this too, but also great engagement from consumers. I myself, I'm not Gen Z certainly, but I love digital wallet. I also like to have everything on my phone, but tell us a little bit about what that's like for you.
Yeah, I mean, we expect it not only within like point of sale systems to be able to use contactless payment, but online. If you're able to pay online and there's that Apple Pay button, if you can add things to your digital wallet, not just being able to pay, but coupons, incentives, things like that. It needs to be in our digital wallet because we're always trying to use those contactless payments with whether it's Apple Pay, regardless. So if there's a QR code in there, if there is some sort of barcode in there that you can get, some savings. We love that stuff. We love that stuff. We live for it. So that's a great point about mobile payments, anything like that.
Yeah, and with our digital wallet integration, we actually include in the payload the location of the dealership as well. And depending on the user's device preferences, they will get notifications, reminders on expirations, and even when they arrive in the lane, you have a coupon you can use here. It's a great experience. It depends on the device configuration of the user.
Yes.
From a privacy perspective, you okay with that? Like,
yes.
I'll give those permissions to the app.
Yeah, I mean, again, we talk about frictionless and making your life easier. I mean, I'm okay with it as long as it's making my life easier.
It reminds you to use that coupon. You're going to get that discount.
Yeah, I'm going to do it every time. So.
Yeah, makes sense. Good to hear.
Great. Well, I love that you mentioned a frictionless experience because that does kind of lead into where dealers lose Gen Z, and it comes to those points of friction. And we see throughout the normal purchase journey, well, really dealership journey, friction shows up in a few key places over and over again. And that's in the pricing, the visit experience itself, and in service. So with pricing, the data said that fair and reasonable pricing ranks as Gen Z's #1 motivator when choosing a dealership.
Absolutely.
Does that ring true for you?
Yes, I mean, I just recently purchased a car for the first time, and
Congrats.
that was, thank you, and it was this past summer, and that was what I shopped by was just purely off of that. So
Yeah. And one of the nuances we kind of saw in that, because a lot of times when people hear, oh, pricing, that means we have to discount. They're looking for
Yes.
discounts. A lot of times what we saw was not so much that the pricing itself, but that it wasn't clear.
Transparency.
And it wasn't transparent, exactly. So people were going online. They wanted to know, going online or even whenever they get to the dealership, they've done all of this research,
Yes.
come into the dealership, and now there's all these new things popping up. They want to know, okay, well, what am I paying for?
Yeah,
What is
predictability.
included?
Yes.
They really want that predictable experience. So I think that was a big takeaway throughout the survey was, pricing is such a big point there, but it's more than that. It's
Yes.
having that pricing.
You have to be able to let your guard down and feel safe and feel understood, and transparency is fundamental to that. So
100%, yeah. And then for the visit experience itself, a lot of it was that digital reset. So we saw a lot of them begin their journey online, and they're doing it a lot earlier, but they still have to repeat the process once they get to the store, as Joey
Yes.
mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
And even more interesting, we saw that over 1/3 of Gen Z said that purchase experience was incredibly nervous, which
Yes.
was much higher than previous generations. So again, done all of this research, but they're still coming in and not having a great experience.
yes, it feels like all of it was for nothing, and that now you don't understand. You think it's a new process, right? Buying a car or getting it serviced, and if you're just now on your own being independent with that thing, if you do research ahead of time, you feel like you are prepared, and then you come in and it's a different experience.
Yep.
That's just, it's going to make you nervous. It's going to make you want to go elsewhere. So having that communication ahead of time and that connection with the dealer, the service department before that, and it maintaining that same expectation throughout, I think that's really crucial.
So it's like being catfish.
Yes.
It's like I met you online.
Exactly.
I want you to be the same whenever I come
100%.
and see you in person.
Don't get catfish,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then the third is service. So Gen Z reports far higher discomfort with service recommendations when they're not supported with proof and context.
Yes, we love video MPIs. Like, we need to see, like, okay, that's an oil leak. Like, if you're just going to tell me that, my parents told me you were going to upsell me, so be careful,
Right.
But if I'm seeing
You've
it,
been warned.
this
if I'm
Yeah.
seeing it, then I know, okay, I have to get this fixed.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, that leads us directly into kind of that first point of failure being transparency, right? So when we look at the data, 93% said that they wanted clear service pricing on the scheduler. 93% is huge. It's not a nice have. That's an absolute non-negotiable. 21% said that the long purchase times were the worst part of the process. And similar with like pricing, there was a lot of nuance there. It was not so much that, it takes too long. It's, I don't know going in. There's no expectations set.
Yes.
Okay, how long is this going to take? What causes delays? Things like that kind of got that nervousness right back up.
Absolutely. I think that if it's clear communication ahead of time, or if we understand the process more, then, like I said, our guard's not up. We're not thinking that we're getting scammed
Something
or anything.
pulled over,
Yes,
yeah.
That's great. Oh, and I did want to jump back to clear pricing on the scheduler. Is that the same for you? What I usually ask dealers is, do you feel that if I went to your online site today, can you say with 100%, like 100% confidence that I'm going to be able to see your pricing when scheduling an appointment without having to call or submit a form or wait in line?
Or add the service
Or
and just be like, I don't know what it costs.
Yeah.
Take the wheel. Yeah. So, I mean, is that whenever you're trying to book service, you have a new car now?
Yes.
So service appointments are coming. Is that going to be something that deters you from going to a dealership, even if that's who you purchased it from?
Yeah, I mean, we're having this discussion, and I'm recognizing that I am not getting that a lot of times. I don't have that for pricing when scheduling. So that's something that I would love, and I think that's a real opportunity for growth for a lot of companies. So.
Yeah.
That's great. And then lastly, we had you've really hit this a lot, so it's so true in the data that 57% said that they trust video evidence more than a dealership's word, which leads in those MPI videos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
So overall, whenever we talk about transparency, I mean, when any of these stages feel unclear, that confidence is going to drop, even if the intent to buy is really high. So of course that leads us into, okay, these are the points of failure. Well, what does Gen Z respond to? Which we talked over and over again, is that transparency. So we have 82% of Gen Z said that they would take a less convenient appointment if it led to it resulted in a discount. So this is a huge opportunity for dealerships because a lot of times we see that people will be you're going to go book your first appointment,
Yeah.
right? You want to do it at noon. They don't have noon available. Maybe they have 3 available. That's not quite the time for you. So a lot of times you may just abandon the process and go to another store. Do you feel that if maybe you had an incentive, maybe a 10% off discount, something like that to take that 3 o'clock appointment, is that going to be a good trade-off for you?
Absolutely, I'm gonna make that work. I'm gonna, a lot of us feel like you mentioned the price shopping and price being a big factor. I think that the incentives, especially if they're as convenient as a digital wallet, like
Yeah.
that's what we're looking for. So 100%.
That's great. Well, and that's a huge benefit for dealerships as well. Like that really helps you balancing your shop load. From a dealership perspective, everybody kind of wants those perfect time frames.
Yes.
And that causes a lot of friction on their shop because now they have these time frames that are super busy and everything else is unfulfilled. So offering those discounts really, really helps to balance out that shop load overall. So that's great. And then, of course, lastly, we see a huge benefit when recommendations are grounded in real data. Gen Z is nearly 2 times more likely than baby boomers to accept recommendations when they're based on similar vehicles. So that's a lot more of that proof when you're going online. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that plays right into one of our solutions, Capacity IQ. This is intended to specifically address the incentivizing a less desirable time slot for the consumer. So within the book tool, Capacity IQ analyzes the dealership's available capacity and identifies those peaks and valleys. So what we're able to do then, as you can see in this sample here, is we're able to present to the consumer when Stephen goes to book his service. He's going to see all of the times available. Maybe he was going to grab that 145. That's what he was planning to do when he came to the scheduler. But he's going to see these little indicators on some of these times with the $sign, and that's going to let him know we have an incentive available to him. So if he chooses one of those times, you'll see he'll see a little presentation that says schedule this particular time slot and you'll get a 10% discount. Stephen may not really care. He's like, I'm going to do that. What we have found in the data is that Gen Z values the value of what you're delivering to them. They're not bothered by any of that. They'll take that less convenient time and they'll say, thank you very much. I actually appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so our next friction point is personalization. So we kind of love this tagline, one size fits none. So we've seen that Gen Z trades data for value, but only when that experience earns it. So when you're kind of thinking of 2 different scenarios, you have, say you're getting a marketing email, and one of them kind of seems like it might be catered to you. It's got your name.
Right.
You know, it's pulling up maybe some of your history, but I feel that you get so many personalized communications that Gen Z sees through a lot of that so much faster versus getting a communication that, yes, says your name, but also has your current vehicle, also has trade-in options, it's like knows your equity, is really targeting you and feels more specific to your experience. Do you feel the same way that that's more of an interest for you, or?
Absolutely. I think that we are so accustomed to the standard mail merge thing where we're just getting our name and it's somewhat personalized. But if you can find some nuance in that, if you can find some things to actually deliver value and understanding of our situation, then we are more likely to do business because we feel like, okay, they've actually put some time and effort into understanding my situation and it's effective data. So
Yeah, I think that also goes back to outside of the automotive industry. Like that bar has been raised and the expectation is there at this point. So we have to meet that.
Yeah,
100%.
for sure. So whenever we think about how do we battle that? How do we engage with Gen Z? It's really that digital control. So, sorry, I'm blind. So over half of Gen Z respondents said they preferred online tools for vehicle comparisons and deal negotiations, which was 29% lift over non-Gen Z. So that's really, Gen Z really wants to be taking control of the entire process, and that's starting with them online. We also see that 75% of Gen Z is comfortable with those personalized video offers. So that personalization, just everywhere it goes, they're more susceptible to it. That's a 40% lift over non-Gen Z. And then 58% of Gen Z is comfortable with location-based personalized offers, which is a 44% lift over non-Gen Z. How do you feel about personalization based on your actual location?
Yeah, I think that it's another thing that we are used to, and it's not so scary to us, and we almost come to expect it. So
Yeah.
if you can deliver that effectively, I think that that is beneficial to us. Very little people you'll meet in Gen Z are thinking that that's a not a valuable thing
Yeah.
for them. In fact, I would prefer the convenience over anything. So.
And how do you feel about AI and those personalized communications?
Yeah, so again, I don't think we're ever going to be confused whether or not it's artificial intelligence, but I think that if it can deliver an easier experience and better transparency, then we end up loving it. I mean, like I said, we use these tools in our daily lives, so.
That's great.
Nice. That takes us into our next Affinitiv solution is smart video. So what we're doing here, and we have a sample here in the slide, is we're taking our quote communications, which is our equity mining solution, and we're taking all of that data that we know about the consumer, and instead of just putting in front of them their available options, which we are still doing, we're also including a commercial style AI generated video. So you can see in the sample here, the customer's name is in this animated GIF, which they would see in their email or in the text that lets them know this isn't just a generic video, this is a video for Elmer in this situation. And you can see here we're also seeing that their particular vehicle and their financial position that we've taken into account within the quote is also reflected there. And what we're doing is we're launching that out to our customer portal to allow the consumer to view that video, but then we're also taking that opportunity to allow them in the portal to explore their options. So maybe they're early in their purchase journey and they're going to explore their options. We can actually then start to pull in that data to know, oh, okay, Steven was looking at this particular model, but now he's interested in this other model. So we're able to retarget. Again, Gen Z, the data tells us they don't mind. They don't mind that one bit. They actually appreciate it from what the data tells us, because that's effort they've put in. That's research that they've done. They've put the effort and the time into it. To then not have that recognized is frustrating for the consumer.
Yes.
I chose this other car. I gave you signals. You just weren't paying attention.
Yes.
So it's a really nice, cohesive.
And if you can separate yourself by understanding those consumer needs and targeting them, I think that we are more likely to do business. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's where we're at today, and then I want to talk a little bit about where we're going next, and that's what we're calling an extension of Smart Video. That's our avatars. And I'm going to go to this next slide, and it's going to play a video of yours truly saying some words about a recall that I have never said. So we'll hop over there.
Hi Joey, I wanted to reach out because there's an open recall on your 2022 BMW X6. At Hometown Motors, your safety and peace of mind come first. That's why our factory-trained experts will take care of any open recalls on your vehicle at no cost to you, and we can also handle any maintenance that may be due while you're here. Scheduling is quick and easy and will help make sure your vehicle is performing the way it should. Go ahead and contact us today to book your appointment. We look forward to taking care of your vehicle.
So what we're doing here and what we're able to deliver is we can take a short source video of someone at the dealership, create a personal connection. So imagine you receive this via email or text, maybe as a sales follow-up after your purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Could be the actual person that you were working with at the dealership. You see that and you're like, oh my gosh, wow, this is actually, you know, my advisor, my sales advisor actually created this video for me. And everything that was said there, I've never said those words. I read my script. Now we're able to inject all of that dynamic customer data and create a personalized experience. Yeah. I know you said you feel generally that you can clock AI, understood.
Yeah. I mean, and that if I receive that from as being a recent car buyer, I'm understanding that that's AI. But if I saw, hey, that's James that I worked with, that's kind of fun.
The personal connection.
And like we understand why you would want to send an AI video, but if I'm still going to listen to it, I mean, I go through TikToks and it's AI's reading Reddit stories, whatever it is. Like we're familiar with that, and it doesn't take away from any sort of personal experience.
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay, so let's look at our final point of friction for Gen Z, which is really overall just proof. It's the prove it or lose it for dealers. And we see that 74% of Gen Z said that they would approve repairs if shown video evidence, versus it's about 21% more than non-Gen Z respondents. And I think a lot of this is just kind of that digital world that you've grown up with. You receive inspections, a lot of them can be very technical and not as easy to kind of decipher, especially about vehicles your first vehicle,
Yeah.
maybe you don't know a lot about vehicles, having that video instead, really explaining what's going on and showing, for example, the one I use is like tire cupping. That's something you can do in a photo. But if I ask you what tire cupping is, you may not know what that means,
Yeah.
how severe it is, and if it needs to be done now. Versus a video showing, okay, this is what it's going to do to your driving experiences. These are the bigger issues that could be the source of that. Have you gotten any of these types of videos or
Absolutely.
non-videos?
I mean, the video MPIs are so beneficial, and like even things like air filters and other little things that you would normally be like, I'm gonna put that off. It's making every repair order just a little bit bigger because we can actually understand the value of getting it fixed, and it builds transparency and trust in the service department.
And we've talked about how much Gen Z is cost conscious. So I do think if it's something that doesn't seem urgent to you,
Yeah, you
to
got to
your point,
prove
you're
it.
like,
Yeah.
I'll do that next time. Versus saying this is a
Yes.
really severe issue that you need to be handling now. Get a much different response. So of course, how is that trust earned? Service drives loyalty. So through the survey, we found that 99% of Gen Z consumers who are satisfied with their service visit experience said that they intended to return to the same dealership. 99% is an
Insane,
unheard
yeah.
of. That's a lifetime loyalty from that customer. But when that visit doesn't go well, that return intent drops to roughly 1/3. So again, we talk about digital being such a big part of the Gen Z experience, but I think we do a disservice by leaving out how important that personalized
Yeah.
experience is and that relationship with the dealership that continues on after purchase. So if the experience feels great and the customer leaves feeling confident and supported, they're obviously wildly likely to return versus they're not coming back
Yeah.
if not. So
I feel like this one's like the make or break. Like, you have an opportunity here. If the experience is great, you're essentially getting universal loyalty. The data is telling us they will be back. And the other thing that I think is interesting, I'm curious to hear your thoughts, Stephen, is Gen Z is a social forward generation. Like,
Yeah.
you are far more social online and in your sphere than any generation prior to you. So
Yeah.
that positive experience can turn into a review, a post on a social media network,
Yep.
or even like a text to the group chat
Yeah.
to be like, guys, you should go here. Like,
Yes.
this place is awesome.
It's about familiarity. It's about like ease. So if I know that this dealer is going to give me a good experience, I'm going to go there over and over again because again I value convenience and I know this system. I know that the incentives that they're offering me, and yes, especially to the point where like it drops from down to 1/3,
Right.
and that's also those negatives are affecting other like.
yeah.
I'm gonna post about that on TikTok or Reddit or and share that negative experience as well. So that's why it's so important to capture this audience.
Yeah.
And I think it's great throughout the survey. Really, what we found is, what works for Gen Z is it's going back to the fundamentals. It's not the dealers that have success with Gen Z. They're not using radically different tools. They're not using the latest and greatest. They're getting back to the fundamentals and being consistent and going back to some of the basics. Word of mouth is just as powerful now as it was 40 years ago. So it's really, really great.
Absolutely. Yeah, so our solution here is our MPI and tech video solution, which allows technicians to not only complete digital MPIs, but also attach media to those. It's a fantastic tool. We have great noise canceling built into our app, but I do want to give a little preview of where we're headed with our MPI tool, and that's hands-free wearables integration. So I'm going to hook up here to a phone real quick and pop over so we can do a little live demo and change out my glasses.
And we can keep busy. So I'm curious, have you seen a full MPI filled out for your vehicle? Have you gotten one of these yet?
Yes, absolutely, and there's vastly different ones. Some they've got their phone in their hand and they're just mixing with it. So you see a wide variety of tech. Some are good at it, some are not so good at it. So
You see that? I think that's what I do love about where wearables is going, because that one-handed, you have somebody trying to show you. I've even seen them YouTube videos, service repairs, TikToks are so great. The content's great, but when you just have one hand moving around and a guy trying to move things, it's almost,
it's really tough.
you can tell everybody's struggling in the
Absolutely.
process for sure.
So to help solve for that, what we're doing is we're integrating with wearables, and we're we're Switzerland here. We're agnostic. We're not tied to any one wearable. We're actually demonstrating with Meta glasses today. But what I have on my face right now is going to be coming from a lot of other vendors in the future. We know Google, Samsung, Warby Parker, just to name a few, are already coming with these types of solutions in 2026. So we're being agnostic about it, but we're going to show it on Meta glasses today. So I'm going to open up our MPI app just like I normally would. You can see here I have my list of inspections, and I'm going to go and I'm going to open one of these here. And I have an option here to record a tech video. I also have an option on any one of these line items to actually record a separate video, not necessarily a tech video summary, but just like an individual line item video or a photo. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say record tech video. In this beta version of the app, we're being presented with some options here. So legacy is what I'm going to show you first, which is what happens today. So I'm going to choose legacy. This is what our MPI app is going to do today. I'm going to have options here, and I'm going to start my recording, and I'm going to have to walk around with my phone or my tablet, if that's what I'm using in the service lane. Got my little car here. Yeah, you've got some stuff over here. Okay, let's look underneath. You can imagine if I'm trying to pull out a dirty air filter or something, that's going to be a little problematic. I can't navigate all of this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop that recording, and I'm going to go back, and I'm going to record a tech video, and I'm going to choose the new option we have here, which is our wearable integration. So my glasses are already connected to this device. This is going to give me a little bit of information to let me know we're about to engage your device. So I'm going to say connect. And you're not going to hear it, but I am going to get a notification in my ear that says experience started, ready to record. So what will happen now is the technician can just set this device down, and right now you do have to hit the record button here, but we're going to be using the shutter buttons on the glasses, so I'm going to say record, and you can see now I'm hands-free. So now I can walk around the vehicle, I've got both of my hands free, I can point, I can pull things out. All of this is happening on the technician's face. Nothing, all that data is going back to the device. One of the other, we have a lot of interference in here, FYI. That video quality is not normally like that. So I'm going to say stop. I'm going to save that. Now I can review it. And I'm going to upload that.
So awesome.
And just like that, we've got our MPI Tech video attached. From the technician side, this is a way better experience, what I just described. My hands are free. I can do what I need to do. I can get my job done. From the consumer side, also lots of benefits. Not only do they benefit from the technician's hands being available to better communicate with them, this particular pair of glasses I think has 9 microphones on it, and the audio quality coming out of this in a noisy service bay is worlds better than what you're going to get, even with our own MPI with noise suppression. We have great noise suppression. It works fantastic. This is next level. So just wanted to give everyone a preview of that and kind of show where we're headed in that regard. What about wearables, Stephen? You have Meta glasses?
No, but I know everybody in my generation loves them, so and is very familiar with content produced by them. So
Yeah,
I think I would love, especially the noise canceling. Like a lot of the video MPIs can be loud and stuff.
Yeah, it can be tough. So
Absolutely, that's
great
awesome.
addition. We're super excited
Great product.
about. So to close this out, I want to just kind of zoom out a little bit and talk about the fact that I think Briana, you touched on it at one point. Everything we've talked about here, these are not Gen Z exclusive friction points or solutions. The things we're talking about today, those experiences that are improved by some of the products and solutions we've talked about, those ripples go out to other generations. Gen Z might be kind of the signal or the canary in the coal mine, I guess is the old saying. But those ripples go out to other generations. When we introduce tech videos, millennials are like, oh yeah, that's way better. I actually would love to see that. And I also have a higher confidence level. Mm-hmm. When there's transparency, Gen X, baby boomers, they all benefit from those changes that we're making. So just want everyone to keep that in mind. As far as a final takeaway, we've touched on a lot here, and we also have a white paper, which we have copies of for anybody that wants to grab one on the way out. There is a ton of fantastic data in here, so please grab a copy. But just the final things I want to just make sure we reinforce here. Clarity builds confidence. We've learned that through the data and with our time with Stephen. Confidence builds loyalty, and loyalty is earned long before the sales is complete. I think what we've learned is that if we can provide confidence, transparency, all of those things, rising tides brings all boats up. We're gonna improve the experience for everyone, and it's gonna be a better experience for all.
Yeah, thank you for opening up this dialogue, and it matters to know that people are looking to make our experience easier and embracing our generation's needs.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Stephen,
Thank
and keeping us honest.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.